lounging, son.
Welcome to Lounging with Ryan and Mario.
What's up?
Today we're going to talk about Vertigo, an imprint at DC that started in 1993, responsible for some of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Mario feels the same way. I mean, you got books like Why the Last Man, Sweet Tooth, Preacher.
Yeah, dude. You got Scalped over here, Jason Aaron book. You got Dead Enders down here.
And of course, you have Sandman, a perennial, one of the most important comics in comics literature.
Well, I said Vertigo in general is one of the most important things that happened to comic books, because this is a conversation we had off camera and off podcast. I was talking about how one time I wanted to do like the history of hip hop through or history through the eyes of hip hop.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of interesting too that Vertigo coincides with like Image, because it wasn't that much after.
Yeah, it was like a year later.
Yeah, so Image started in 1992. This was started in 1983. Actually, if I remember correctly, Image started in November of 1992.
Right, but I mean,
and this is March of 19. My point is that they're only separated by like 5 months.
Well, the actual imprint of Vertigo started in 93, but you had Saga of Swamp Thing, you had Sandman, and those books preceded that. They started in the late 80s. A lot of these
series, some of these series have started from earlier.
Right.
But my point is that while you had that movement with Image where it was like extreme 90s.
Yeah.
Where that's all. I mean, nowadays it's Image is kind of the new Vertigo. At least it has been for the last like 10 years.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much. I think
closer
that's a fair
to that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how in the 90s.
I mean, it's no DC Black Label.
God, you know the travesty that is.
Yeah, that's
Black Label.
Yeah.
But it's funny that it was 1993 into the 90s, and you have all this extreme shit, fucking Spawn and Wildcats,
pouches and guns,
and chests that are 3 times the size of Texas and shit. But this was the opposite. This was all very, very like deep. There was a lot of authors that had a lot to say, and that actually had meaning to the books, which is very different what was going on.
Yeah.
So I bring it up with hip hop because it kind of reminds you of like in the early 90s you had like NWA and a lot of the gangster raps starting to come out.
Yeah, very
but
influential.
At the same time you had like East Coast and like Tribe Called Quest, people like that doing stuff that was a lot more meaningful.
Right.
That was more about the culture.
Yeah. Yeah, completely different.
And it was coming at
the West Coast and East
same
Coast,
time.
completely different styles.
Yeah,
right.
And this reminds you a lot of that too.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely they're polar opposites from what was coming out in the early '90s. You know,
which was the first one that you started with? What was the one that like, or at least stood out to you?
The first Vertigo book that I read, I don't consider Swamp Thing the first Vertigo book because I read the volume when it was still DC. The first Vertigo book I read was 100 Bullets.
Okay.
When I was 13.
Yeah.
You know, and that fucking book blew my mind, dude.
That was the first one I read too.
I was like,
Brian Azzarello.
I was like, this and it was cool because like my comic shop back then, it wasn't Collector's Paradise, it was another shop, and I was just asking him for something. Like I don't even know why I asked him. I just said I want something cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, read this. And he fucking puts the first volume in my hand.
Nice.
And my mom didn't know what the fuck I was buying. You know, she probably would have been like, "There's no way."
No, once you open it, you're like, "This is not for kids."
She's like, "There's no way in hell you're fucking buying this." That's what she would have told me, you know. And I read it and I fucking absorbed everything. I was like, "This is fucking amazing."
Yeah.
Then, you know, and I paid attention, like, because I'm a DC guy, for bad or for worse, and I instantly went for everything after that. Then it was Preacher.
Yeah.
You know, and then I can't remember. I didn't read Sandman for a while. Sandman was one of the later books that I read. And then, you know, like I think a few years went by and I didn't really read any new series. And then it was Fables, obviously. I went into that. Why the Last Man. But from everything, Scalped is still my favorite, you know?
Nice.
That's the best. In my opinion, those years, like, you know, even DMZ.
Yeah. And so
I know that's a touchy subject.
Now because of Brian Wood,
you
but
know, he got canceled. But DMZ was another one of my favorite books. You know,
American Vampire was. I loved American Vampire when it was coming out originally. I love Northlanders and I love DMZ. I mean, DMZ to me was one of them. Like 100 Bullets was the first one I checked out, and that also was like, holy shit, this is
everything.
Crazy.
The dialogue, dude. Like Azzarello, fucking like it didn't feel like forced. You know what I'm saying? Like he got the dialogue.
Well,
down.
It felt like when sometimes DC gets criticized for trying to be gritty, but it's like it's trying to be gritty. 100 Bullets felt like authentic gritty.
Right. I agree.
Like that was it was just being that way. And DMZ felt the same way too. Like that, those two books I think were the ones that stood out to me the most. I also really like Northlanders, just because I had never seen anything like that before. It was a book about Vikings, but they had like modern dialogue.
Yeah. They were cussing and
yeah.
shit saying fuck. I'm like, there's no way people
Like,
there's
no way. Yeah,
there's no way
this
that
is
existed.
like 460 AD. How the fuck were they saying like whatever? But
yeah.
So that stuff. There's a lot of series. One of the things that I really like was that most of the Vertigo series were long, which is something you don't really see anymore. I don't think you see it as often, even with Image nowadays.
You don't see it with any publisher. You don't see a creator staying on a title for an extended period of time, and that it really sucks. And I think it's a disservice to fans. And I was talking to Shelley Bond, who's one of the pioneers of Vertigo. She was assistant to Karen Berger, and she eventually became the executive editor.
Which you can check out that interview on
check out the interview on the channel. This video probably, I would assume, is probably going to come out after the interview.
So just go back and you'll see it on there.
But yeah, dude, like, and she kind of alludes to that in the interview, that you don't see creative teams staying together. That the monthly is not as important as it used to be. I mean, I think I might be taking it out of context, but like, look at that. Why the Last Man? 60 issues. Scalped. 60 issues. Yeah. Right? When's the last time you've seen somebody do a 60 issue run on a book? I can't remember. Flash?
Yeah. How long is that?
Oh yeah, well, Joshua Williams.
No, but that's an outlier. That's like the last time it's happened in a very long time.
I mean, Tom King almost got to 100, and then DC fucking 86 from the book. So,
yeah. I mean, that's more of something that used to happen. The last time it happened a lot more often was in the early 2000s, because you had Brubaker on Cap, and that was a pretty long run. You had Bendis on Daredevil,
right,
and then Brubaker on Daredevil, Mark Waid on Daredevil,
right.
But I mean, that's gone now.
I know, and that's why, like, I think Vertigo is such an important part of comics history. I think what Karen Berger started and then had Shelley Bond come in.
Yeah.
What they created, what they curated together, because that's really what editing is. And that's the first time that I started paying attention to editors.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it, you know what I mean, in the back of the comics.
Yeah,
but when I was a kid, I was
like,
to be honest, I didn't give a shit when I was a kid. I didn't even look at the colorists. I didn't care. I was like, who drew it and who penciled it?
Yeah.
Inker too. I really didn't even pay attention. And then I got older and I started paying attention to this stuff. Letterers, everybody, every single person can put their stamp on a book.
Especially when you start trying to do it yourself. And you start seeing how much of a difference the inking makes and coloring makes. You're like, oh shit, this is not easy.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, mad props to these guys. This is not easy at all.
Yeah, but I mean, think about editing.
Yeah.
They have to fucking...
Well, both of them, I mean, Berger too. I mean, a lot of it was... These books, unfortunately, were high risk.
Yeah.
And which is the reason why you have solid downfall of Vertigo over the years was... Unfortunately, the books just don't... they're not the most popular books. I mean, some of them, My Last Man, like, that sells out a lot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other books on the side that just... Like Dead Enders.
I think it was also the emergence of Image, right? It was also when they repurposed Image, when Jim Valentino and I think Eric Larson was a part of that too. They shifted, dude.
Yeah.
They fucking went another direction, and some of the talent that was going to Vertigo wasn't. Yeah.
Part of that too was that I think they changed up the contracts with how payment worked with Vertigo.
Yeah.
So it was less likely to have people come over, because this Vertigo was Image before Image.
Yeah.
It was the way it is now. And they changed the way they did the payment structure, and I think a lot of creators saw that Image was a lot better of an option. Because I think, and then a lot of the focus started moving from Vertigo being kind of its own house to DC getting a finger in there, and more and more, and then over the last 10 years, it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, you saw it with, like, I think in 2012, I believe, is when Karen Berger left or was asked to leave. I don't remember exactly how that went down, and then 2016 when Shelley Bond was gone, that's it, dude. To me, that was when Vertigo was gone.
Yeah. And then by the end,
no diss to anybody who took over Vertigo after that, but
it was already a sinking ship.
It was done. You know what I'm saying? What those two and the two women, two of the fucking most, in my opinion, two of the most powerful women in comics, were working with some of the biggest names in comics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they had Grant Morrison, Neil Gaiman, Ed Brubaker, Garth Ennis,
Jason Aaron,
Jeff Lemire, Jason Aaron,
Brian
Azzarello, fucking...
I mean, to me, like, I associate Brian Azzarello with 100 Bullets.
Like, you say that name,
I immediately think of 100 Bullets. Yeah.
I don't think of the Batwing. You know what I'm saying? I don't think of Batman's dick and Batman Damn. You know, that's not what I think of. No, maybe some of these fucking casuals, you know what I mean? They probably fucking think of, oh, he's the guy that wrote the Bat Dick.
Yeah.
You know?
Batman Damn. That classic comic book.
Fucking trash. But yeah, you know, Vertigo, for lack of, you know, I hate to say it in this term, but it changed
100%.
my life for sure.
I think it changed comics because I mean, you look at some of that lineup, especially in the early '90s. You talk about Why the Last Man. You can talk about Preacher.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that stuff, and Sandman. I mean, it's classic. It's considered the classics for a reason. And to think it's all came out within a span of like 3 years from each other.
I mean, it's insane. It's
and Hellblazer, all that was still coming out.
I can't. Yeah, I forgot about fucking.
Which I mean, Hellblazer, obviously. Yeah, that's.
Think of the creators that have been on that. Peter Milligan.
Yeah.
Garth Ennis, Jamie Delano.
And then Peter Milligan did Human Target. That was also another one of the series that was at Vertigo.
And then Mike Carey did Lucifer.
Lucifer.
And he did the Unwritten.
Unwritten, yeah, that was popular for a while.
Yeah. I mean,
that's one of the last things that was.
I mean, we could fucking spend all day talking about everything that Vertigo did. You know? It's just a shame that they ended the way they did.
Well, the popularity. I mean, by the time you get to the early 2010s, it started falling off. I mean, how many books did they really have at the end?
I think Fables was the last.
You had Fable,
outlier.
You had Northlanders.
But they're perennial though.
At the end was Fables.
When Fables finished,
that was it.
It was done. You know what I'm saying?
Everything else was. I mean, Northlanders is the last one I remember that wasn't Fables. That was longer because that was 50 issues as well.
Fables was 100.
No, Northlanders. Northlanders was the last one I remember that. Other than Fables, that was long of the last ones to come out.
Yeah, I mean they tried. You know, they tried to fucking.
Well, the last ditch effort was American Vampire. That was like the last thing that they had that was like a big deal.
Yeah, but then
even that kind of fizzled out. I think
fucking main DC fucking lured Snyder away.
Yeah.
From writing that, and we got Metal. So, favorite book.
American Vampire started so good. It was so good, and then it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, it did. But I mean, they're coming back. They're gonna close out the series with the original graphic novel.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people. I think some of the younger audiences, readers, don't really know the importance of Vertigo, because a lot of the classics that we're talking about are from 1995.
Yeah, and so that's what they should be reading. That's what you guys should be reading. You guys should be reading fucking Preacher, not watching the show. Read this fucking book. Fucking Ed Brubaker.
Dead End 2001, I think it was published.
Dude. Fucking read this shit, dude. Scalped.
Scalped.
I know you guys shop on eBay. Fucking hit up fucking eBay. Find Scalps because it's out of print.
You can find a set for like $100.
Yeah, I mean I had all the trades. I was like, I need the hardcovers.
Yeah, all the hardcovers for $100, whatever, on eBay. And think of all the names we're talking about too, and a lot of these become shows. A lot of these have started to become shows.
Yeah, Why the Last Man I think is going to come out on FX soon. Yeah. I know it's had a lot of fucking.
And then Preacher's obviously already a show that's been coming out.
Yeah, Sandman I think is about to be adapted.
Yeah, DMZ is being adapted as well.
Ava DuVernay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that's being. I mean, obviously, the reason why that happens is because the ideas are really strong.
Yeah, these are top creators putting out some of the best work that they've ever done. If you like Jason Aaron's Thor, you need to read Scalped. If you like fucking Paper Girls, you need to read Why the Last Man. You know, Garth Ennis, dude, he wrote fucking Punisher. He wrote a cool series called Hitman from DC, which not many people know about. But that's, you know, like Preacher is his magnum opus. I think it's
probably definitely the thing he's known for.
I think it's the strongest thing he's ever put 100%. Out from beginning to end.
And it's strong, intense.
It is. It's fucking crazy.
That's the other thing too. It's a mature line. It's without a doubt.
Oh yeah, it's not for children. It's not for the faint of heart. There will be some fucking graphic shit you will see.
In Preacher,
not in everything, but
most of them.
Most of them, yeah. I mean, Sandman, you don't really see anything graphic.
No,
in
but
there.
Scalp, they're definitely seeing some graphic stuff in there.
Yeah, you're seeing some hardcore shit.
But yeah, the thing it wasn't gratuitous. It was like gritty before gritty became overplayed. It
wasn't gritty for the sake of gritty.
Yeah, and I think it was also because the people that were involved had something to say. So it wasn't just, I'm just want to make it cool. I don't want. This isn't Batman Damn, where it's just like intense for no reason. This is. Yeah. There's a message usually in a lot of these. There's some kind of lesson to be learned as a message. There's something the author's trying to portray, and I think that's why it worked so well. And it wasn't mainstream though, but it worked so well. People that know what they were talking about. And a lot of people, unfortunately, we read these later on.
Yeah.
Because we were too young to really have been around reading every single issue of The Last Man. You know,
Yeah, but the cool thing was, though, is we got to fucking binge read it, too. And that's a good thing is most of these books are still in print.
In some way or another. So maybe the hardcovers are out of print, but you still get the trades.
Yeah. So you go to your local comic shop. Don't hit up Amazon. Support your local comic book store. Or
at least eBay. Support other people that like comic books.
Other people that like comics. But all this shit is still in print. We can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, maybe we got Sweet Tooth, Jeff Lemire over there.
Yeah, dude, look at this fucking book, dude. It's classic, dude. It's a classic, and it's being I think this is fucking being adapted.
Yeah, it just got announced not too long ago. Yeah, it's gonna be a Netflix show. I think
like everything Lemire's doing, and we'll talk about Lemire. We could talk.
Well, we're gonna talk about Scalped.
We'll do
at some point for sure.
Some Scalped coverage. We'll probably fucking go over book by book since we both have the hardcovers. Probably break it down like that. Definitely do some more Jason Aaron coverage. Probably some Southern Bastards. Throw that in there. Yeah. The Damned. Or Goddamned, I mean.
Yeah.
Not the Damned. Some Lemire stuff. We're huge fans of Lemire. Lemire is probably one of the best writers writing in comic books right now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else I can really say.
No, I mean, I just hope. I wish people would give more of an effort. I don't feel like a lot of the more new readers and more general readers have really been checking out Vertigo stuff. I don't know that it's that popular with younger people anymore.
I think people don't really hustle, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we were talking about it the other day on the podcast about, like, when I was in high school, if I wanted to learn about some underground hip-hop artists, dude, I was fucking on the internet, bro. I was fucking looking up all their little B-side
even back
tracks.
then, you couldn't even the internet was hard to use. Like, we didn't have Reddit shit and, like, all this Wikipedia
everything
shit.
Is easy. It's like everything is handed to fucking this generation on a fucking silver platter, and I feel like they don't even utilize it, you know? And maybe that's the fault of some comic book shops, too. You know what I'm saying? I don't think all comic book shops care enough.
Yeah. Well, they just go with the trend, so, you know, they'll give you Paper Girls and stuff, but they won't mention Why the Last Man or Ex Machina. I mean, Ex Machina isn't Vertigo, but it's
pretty much Vertigo.
It's pretty much Vertigo.
I mean, first it was Wildstorm, then I think it phased into Vertigo in later printings, and now it's DC Black Label.
Yeah.
So I mean, that book, I think the compendium, right, just got released for Ex Machina.
Yeah.
I think that one's getting fucking adapted as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, all of Brian K. Vaughan. I mean, he's one of the greatest.
Well, he writes it that way. He writes it in the structure was very much like television or movies.
Yeah. Well, he's written a lot of TV shows. So, and I can't forget we're gonna we'll be diving into some Brubaker.
Well, Dead Enders is interesting. I think it's one of the most interesting things he's written because it doesn't feel like it. Like, it doesn't feel like anything he's written. You'll see. I think you haven't read that one.
I haven't read it yet.
So it's one of his homework assignments for Ryan.
Yeah.
To catch up on Dead Enders, but it's very unique. It's one of the things he's written that sticks out the most to me because it doesn't completely feel like him.
Yeah.
And some of the something like Scalped feels more intense. Like if you read Thor: God of Thunder and stuff like that, it's all right. So we had some technical difficulties for sure. This is literally the first video we're doing for the channel for the show.
Yep.
So we're trying to figure things out. So we had some issues there, but we wanted to wrap up and say that definitely write in with some suggestions if you have them. We're going to be doing this moving forward, a couple of videos, probably a week.
Videos a week, maybe sprinkled in with some interviews, depending
on what's going on that week
and
what stuff that's coming out. If something comes out that we definitely want to talk about, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But we want to hear from you guys, so in the comments below, write in what you think about Vertigo, or maybe some of the topics we talked about.
Yeah.
Some suggestions out there. You can reach us at
You can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Comic Lounge or www.thecomiclounge.com. You can contact us through there on the contact us page. I'm very quick to answer messages or whatever on all social media. My messages are open, so you can message me on anything. We're definitely going to dive deeper into some of the titles we talked about. Scalped will be one of the ones we talk about.
Yeah.
I think during our technical difficulty we talked about, we were going to cover some Mignola.
Oh, stuff. Yeah. We talked about how the Mignola verse alone could be one of these episodes for sure because there's so many books to talk about.
So if you like what you heard today, we're definitely going to have more of that for you. We'll be covering some of the creators we talked about, maybe even some of the books, maybe go page by page with you guys on some of them. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we're with that.
With that, we're out.